Hey guys, how's it going? It is Drake. So I wanted to start the year with a new tradition. I'm going to list 5 gaming predictions for 2026, and at the end of the year, we can either all laugh together or be absolutely amazed at how comically wrong or miraculously correct I was. First up, we've got a little bit of a studio bundle because I didn't want to do them as individuals. I think Bend Studio will be closed or rebranded as a secondary Sony studio. I think Guerrilla Games will reveal their next project, and we'll finally get to see Naughty Dog's next game with actual gameplay. Originally, I wrote this prediction that Guerrilla Games and Bend Studio would reveal their next projects this year. When I was writing my Days Gone video, I was obviously doing a little bit of research. I realized the timeline hasn't exactly been kind to Bend. Their last game was in 2019, and their main project was cancelled at the start of 2025, 4 years after working on it. Then just a few months later, 30 to 35% of their staff got cut. That doesn't exactly scream like, hey, we've got a project ready to announce. So yeah, I shifted that around a little bit, and I'm going to say Bend Studio gets closed or reworked in some way. Guerrilla Games feels like a little bit easier, but I'm really not quite sure. I guess that's why it's a prediction. Forbidden West was in 2022, and the last few years they've co-developed a bunch of games like the Lego game, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and even Death Stranding 2 on more of a technical supportive basis. But 9 million units sold, Sony are going to want that trilogy completed, so I think we'll get a reveal of some description. Personally, I really struggle with Horizon. It reminds me a lot of the Avatar movies, very successful. Everyone seems to have seen it, or played it, but has absolutely no cultural impact. It feels like people just stopped speaking or even caring about it a week after it's released. But it sold 20 million units, and I'm sure it's driven a bunch of PlayStation Extra subscriptions, which includes PlayStation's equivalent of the Game Pass. So it's doing something right. Last off in this little bundle, if you can even call it that, Naughty Dog and Intergalactic. This feels like an easy one because its reveal was in December 2024, and it just feels like the right time that we get some gameplay after about 18 months. My second prediction is the PSP2 exists. So there's a little backstory to this one. I'm a UI UX designer, a user experience, user interface designer, however you'd like to frame it. And I started working on a UI concept for the PSP2 way back in March or February 2025. Nothing official, just to say. It was a fun little side project. I also wanted to release a UI video because one of the most popular videos on my channel is a UI video. Makes a lot of sense. You could argue that I'm just willing this into existence. Regardless, I really liked a lot of what the PlayStation Portal was doing despite its flaws, which there are many. I think that the strong PSP brand and revival of portable gaming in the last few years, thanks to the Switch and the Steam Deck, creates a perfect storm for Sony to announce a PSP2, or at the very least, some spec releases, some spec leaks, or molds get leaked, things like that. I'm adding in asterisks to my own predictions, I know, but this needs to happen. The third prediction is a bit of a detailed one, and if one part of it goes wrong, I think all of it crumbles. So this is either going to be a hell of a call or it's just nonsense. I think Don't Nod, the folks behind Life is Strange, are developing a Stranger Things game set between Season 2 and Season 3 with an entirely new cast of characters, but set in Hawkins. That gives the ability to have some cameos from beloved side characters like Mr. Clark. I also want to say Steve Harrington at a push, but I really have no idea. I think it's going to be announced at Netflix's Geek Week or their new-ish Tudum event in July 2026. Why July 2026? Because that would be the 10-year anniversary of Stranger Things. I also think we would get some sort of title reveal or reveal of the next spin-off Duffer Brothers are working on, and the game will be released in roughly July 2027 or maybe a little bit after. The logic here is that this keeps the brand in people's minds and in conversations right up until that next spin-off is released. The fourth one is going to be really unpopular, but GTA 6 is going to get delayed until February 2027. This feels like a long shot in many ways, but Take-Two have an investor call in early 2026 where they can push the date with absolutely zero repercussions because it still fits within the fiscal year, that being April 2026 to March 2027. November 19th, the date at the minute, is an investor date. It's not a consumer date. You will buy this game whenever it drops, and the shareholders do not care because it's still in the fiscal year. And truth be told, Rockstar not only have the prestige, but the time and money to simply say, you will get it when it's ready, shut up. They don't want a cyberpunk scenario where the most notable content in the first few months is entirely negative, memeable, and getting posted everywhere. Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. This is going to be their cash cow for the next 10 to 15 years, so they will drop it when they are absolutely certain. Last prediction's a bit of a deep cut. It's gaming, but it's also tech and business and strategy. I'm going to say Xbox Game Pass on Netflix, maybe Apple TV or PlayStation, but those feel a lot less likely. Netflix, though, is all about retention, and gaming is the king of retention. Subscription fatigue is absolutely real right now. Everyone feels it, from Netflix to Spotify, from any subscription app. People are spending hundreds of dollars a month on this stuff, and the runway is running out fast, if not already. Netflix needs other verticals to justify those increases, which they will absolutely keep doing. TV and film only goes so far, and as I said way back in like 2021 on some TikTok video that got like 10 views, live sports and news will be the next big plays for the streaming giants. And I was right. Apple TV went after MLB, MLS, and now F1 in America, and Netflix got into WWE and boxing. Gaming is no different. It's not special. It's all about making Netflix harder to cancel. And if they have to sign a deal with Xbox to get a selection of games well curated that they can stream easily and charge you $25 to $35 to maybe even $40 a month by merging subscriptions instead of $15 to $20, they absolutely will. This is good for Xbox, it's good for Microsoft, it's good for Netflix. And look, a lot of these big tech giants have to look like they're playing ball with each other. There's a lot of antitrust discussions in the last 5 years, and these discussions are going to carry on. So they need to look like they're playing nicely with each other. All right, and that's that. Hopefully these are marginally correct and we don't laugh at me in about a year. But regardless, it was fun to do. It was fun to think about. It's fun to look at all the different moving pieces in a few different industries and just put like a little list together. So I want you to put a couple of things down in the comments that you think will happen. I will see you in my Days Gone video that I'm absolutely writing.